ps3.
Project Cars 3 is still developed by Slightly Mad Studios and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. Development began in fall 2018 after the commercial success of Project Cars 2. Instead of switching to parent company Codemasters' Ego engine, the game is still powered by the same engine as its predecessors. The game is set to be released on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on 28 August 2020. Project Cars 3 introduces more customizable cars that are available to race over 140 global circuits. The game also features 24-hour cycles, various seasons, and weather effects. The career mode has been built with the artificial intelligence being enhanced. The game will support VR on PC, according to the CEO of Slightly Mad Studios, Lambert. The game would be the spiritual successor to the Need for Speed Shift series, which was also developed by Slightly Mad Studios, having been acquired by British video game developer and publisher Codemasters, which is known for the Formula 1 series, Colin MC Ray Rally series, and the Dirt series. Unlike its predecessors, this game will not feature tire wear or fuel depletion, and as such, there are no pit stops. Dead Island 2 is an action role-playing game developed by Dumpster Studios and published by Deep Silver for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is the sequel to the 2011 video game Dead Island, and the third major installment in the Dead Island series. The game's main storyline is set several months after the events of Dead Island and Escape Dead Island. Unlike its predecessors, which took place on islands, as the title states, Dead Island 2 takes place in various locations in California. The game saw a difficult development period, with development duties originally handled by Jaeger Development, until Sumo Digital took over in 2016 and then Dumpster Studios in 2019. Dead Island 2 takes place in an open-world Los Angeles, San Francisco, and the undisclosed third location in California. Unlike the first game, which was set on the fictitious island of Banoi off the coast of Papua New Guinea, the game's combat has different mechanics than its predecessors. Dead Island 2 also includes several features from its predecessors, such as the rage and crafting systems. Dead Island 2 is supposed to be released on 21st December 2020.
I'm too good at this.
Biomutant is the first game of the Swedish development studio Experiment 101, which was established in the summer of 2015. The founders of the studio wanted to go back to the basics of a video game and create a game that is fun in a good way. Experiment 101 has a flat organization and 18 employees in the August of 2018. Development on Biomutant started soon after the foundation of the studio. On August 19, 2017, the advertisement in the German gaming magazine Gamesmarket revealed the existence of the game, dubbing it as post-apocalyptic Kung Fu Fable, before being fully announced on August 21st. The game was playable later that week at the German trade show Gamescom. In an interview which was published the day after the announcement of the game, Experiment 101's head of studio, Stefan Lejonquist, said that the game was content completed. He also mentioned that one of the most difficult things for the development team was to balance the combat system in order to combine shooting, melee attacks, and ability to quite intuitive way. Unreal Engine 4 is being used for the game's development. Biomutant was originally scheduled to arrive sometime in 2018 and later pegged for 2019, but THQ Nordic parent company Embrace Group confirmed in November that the game was still in the final stages of polishing and would not confirm a release date. The game is set to be released on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The next installment in the Far Cry series is Far Cry 6. It's also a first-person shooter game developed by Ubisoft Toronto and published by Ubisoft. The game is expected to be released on February 18, 2021 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Stadia.
But useless. I have something for you, Diego. Give me your hands.
The game is set on Yara, a fictional Caribbean island ruled as a dictatorship by a president, Anton Castillo, portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito, who is raising his son Diego Anthony Gonzalez to follow his rule. The player takes the role of guerrilla fighter attempting to topple Castillo and his regime. Gameplay follows from previous Far Cry games, with players using makeshift weapons, vehicles, and hiring amigos, the new Thanks for Hire system, to topple the tyrannical regime.
Because our country is like this grenade, except it has two basic parts. Our people and you must clutch them nice and tight, or we all go boom. Do you understand now? Prove it. What?
What? What? That's Swiss fucking chocolate, pig.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is an action-adventure game set in an open-world environment and played from a third-person perspective, which takes place at least one generation before the events of Beyond Good and Evil. It has more traditional role-playing elements compared to the first game. The player generates a character that starts the game at the very bottom of the social system. The character can be a male or female. As the player completes various tasks, they improve various attributes and gain spacecrafts and crew members, which they can also improve over time. The player visits planets that have their own societies, and by completing tasks on these planets, gain new technologies or other facets to improve their spacecraft. Director Michael Ansel said that they do anticipate that there will be a narrative element that includes fixed story events as well as events based on what decisions the player made. The game will have single player and cooperative player support. Even as single player, the player can participate in a shared universe, with some events affecting all the players at the same time. Beyond Good and Evil 2 will require an internet connection to play, both single player and multiplayer. The game is developed by Ubisoft Multiplayer and published by Ubisoft. It has no confirmed release date yet. The expected platforms are Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The Walking Dead Onslaught is the upcoming zombie VR game based on AMC's TV show adaptation of the universe, has announced a release date of September 29th. Developer Severe published a new game trailer highlighting the game's zombie slaying action. Not to be confused with The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, a VR game released in early 2020 by Skydance Interactive, and based on the comic book universe. The upcoming Walking Dead Onslaught was originally due to launch in late 2019, but was delayed into 2020. Sevius is promising full campaign where players will embark on an original story following the events of the war with the Saviors. Player will fight as Rick, Daryl, McConney, and Carol to gather needed resources to rebuild the settlements, restore society, and prepare for an onslaught of the walking slaying mayhem.
Hopefully we can get back out without too much trouble.
The game boasts 24 weapons along with an infinitely replayable scavenger mode, which lets players fight their way through zombie hordes as they gather supplies. Set to release on PSVR, Oculus PC, and Steam VR on September 29th, The Walking Dead Onslaught will be priced at $30 for the Standard Edition and $40 for the Deluxe Edition before the 10% pre-order discount.
Can't believe someone would leave this behind.
There will be also a physical release of The Walking Dead Onslaught for PSVR available on October 2nd in Europe and October 13th in North America via Perp Games.
It's been 15 years since the fall. The city is a corpse, and we are the worms. We burrow in it, fighting for every useful piece of land to preserve ourselves from the terrors of the night and the horrors of the day.
Dying Light 2 is an upcoming survival horror action role-playing game developed by Techland and published by Techland Publishing. The game will be released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. The game is sequel to 2015's Dying Light. Dying Light 2 is an open-world first-person shooter, zombie apocalyptic themed action role-playing game. The game begins 15 years after Dying Light, starring a new protagonist named Aiden Caldwell, who is equipped with various parkour skills. Player can perform actions such as climbing ledges, sliding, leaping off from edges, and wall running to quickly navigate the city. More than double the parkour moves have been added since the first game. Some are exclusive to particular areas of the city.
You know the drill. Get to the nearest safe house and wait until dawn. Good night, and good luck.
Dying Light 2 was expected to be released in spring 2020, but in January 2020, developer Techland announced that the game's release would be delayed indefinitely. A release in the second half of 2020 looks more likely now for Dying Light 2.
Initiating combat mode.
Go!
Destination confirmed.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about! Alright, in and out, bitches! We're rich! Oh, we are going to the major leagues, Jackie! Jack? Oh, shit!
No. Okay, get to a clinic now.
Mr. Wells' condition is critical.
Go!
Immediate medical
It's gonna
help
be
is
okay.
required.
Just hold on.
Hey, just think about all the good shit we're gonna have, huh? I'm sorry.
Formerly set for April 16, 2020, then September 17, we now know that Cyberpunk 2077 release date will fall on November 19th. To be fair, we have been waiting since the project was first announced in 2012 to play Cyberpunk 2077, so a few more months will probably kill us.
Just take the fucking chip decks.
Every corporal cop in this city's gonna be blasting down these doors after what you and your psycho friend did. We didn't need all this cocksucking attention, damn it.
That said, 2077 is far from straight first-person shooter. Dialogue bleeds seamlessly into exploration. Hacking and engineer skills can get you to all kinds of places you are not supposed to be. and there are even punch for non-lethal or just non-gun options for fighting. Plus, there is still a bit of third-person during scripted cutscenes and driving around the city. Keep in mind that everything we have seen so far is subjected to change, but it's still very promising. Before multiplayer comes around, you can expect Cyberpunk 2077's DLC mode taking similar path as The Witcher 3. That means there will be a good amount of free updates to add onto the game in weeks and months following its arrival. And after that, there will be bigger, likely paid expansions that expand the world while moving VC's story into new directions. At least, that's what it sounds like so far. CD Projekt Red could always change its mind on the details, even if we have pretty good idea of the big picture. Cyberpunk is scheduled to be released for PlayStation 4, Windows, Xbox One in November 2020, Stadia by the end of the year, and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in 2021.
The illegal paintings spreading subversive and hostile messaging over the last few weeks across London are not the work of several people as was originally believed, but the work of an individual. The criminal.
The next game in the Watch Dogs series is Watch Dogs Legion. Developed by Ubisoft Toronto and published by Ubisoft, the game is set within an open-world fictionalized representation of London and will feature the ability to control multiple characters that can be recruited across the game setting and who can be permanently lost during the course of playthrough, providing a more dynamic influence on the game's narrative. The game will also feature cooperative multiplayer that will allow up to 4 players to work together. It is due to be released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, as well as Stadia on 29 October 2020, and will become available for the next generation consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X after their launch date.
Because I was not a protester. Then they came for the journalists. And I did not speak out. Because I was not a journalist.
The game's story focuses on the London branch of hacker group DedSec as they attempt to liberate the city from its dystopian surveillance state by recruiting allies from London's inhabitants. At the same time, the group focuses on investigating a string of terrorist attacks they were framed for, and who orchestrated them, discovering the deep conspiracy centered around the head of the private military company.
And I realised that eventually they'd come for me, and there would be no one left to speak for me.
They are heartless. Godless barbarians.
Developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is the next major installment in the Assassin's Creed series, and the successor to the 2018 game Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Set in 873 AD, the game recounts an alternative history to the Vikings' invasion of Britain. The player controls Eivor, a Viking rider who becomes embroiled in the conflict between Brotherhood of Assassins and the Templar Order.
Lands they will never defend.
The game is set to be released on November 17, 2020 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Stadia. It will be also Ubisoft's launch title for the next generation of gaming consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is an open-world action-adventure structured around several main story quests and numerous optional side missions. The player takes on the role of Eivor, a Viking rider, as they lead their fellow Viking against the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. The player will have the choice of playing Eivor as either male, voiced by Bengus Brun, or female, voiced by Cecily Stenspel, and is able to customize Eivor's hair, war paint, clothing, armor, and tattoos. The variety of weapons available to the player has been expanded to include weapons such as flails and great swords. Combat has been changed to allow dual wielding of almost any weapon, including shields, and every piece of gear that the player collects is unique. The eagle vision mechanics of the previous titles will return in the form of Odin's sight. The player's companion animal will be a raven named Sinin, Old Norse for insight, and can be used to scout nearby areas, much like previous avian companions had done in Origins and Odyssey, identifying flaws and aspects of the game world from afar before Eivor engages in combat.